Despite the title, I have no idea how Kenjaku's actually back. Gege, I've just come to the conclusion that you're giving Jujutsu Kaisen that fairy tale treatment where nobody dies and everybody's all friends. Like, you know, power of friendship ass boy. Last I checked, when somebody gets their head cut off, I mean, it ends in some sort of self-deletion process. Now let's put that to the test. Now where's the dog? I low-key just feel like Gege just gave us that whole Fresh Prince Season 4 Aunt Viv recast treatment.
Since you had that baby, there's something different about you.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I sold y'all a dream with that video title. Now in most circumstances, I will just run with the lie that sounds the most convincing, despite the fact that deep down I know that I'm clearly lying. And unfortunately, there's probably some poor little naive boy out here listening, thinking that I'm doing God's work. So here goes. This is all a part of Gege's secret plan for the Jujutsu Kaisen sequel. I figured it out. The Riz God's coming back. You a damn lie. You know his ass ain't coming back. Bro covered his whole face with a manga text. Like, Gege, are you even trying to hide this? Now, let's put our thinking caps on. We know Gege is a massive troll. Now, the same dude who borderline declared Gojo the winner of the fight between him and Sukuna basically killed him off in the next chapter. So, at this point, the whole Kenjaku coming back will probably be left for interpretation. Now, assuming you made it this far in the video, hit that like and subscribe button and join the notification gang. Because despite my attempt to actually deceive you, you actually somewhat like my content. Cheers! Kung Fu Kenny may have actually been revived by the Gege balls, not to be confused with Gege's balls. Because clearly the concept of death no longer matters to the author himself. Fight me! Biggest question right now, has Kenjaku actually come back? As of right now, we clearly have no idea. This is all speculation territory. The only thing we really have to go on is his hairdo, the fact that there's an actual text box covering his face, in addition, the unease of having to process his actual death. He is also one of the most manipulative, if not the most manipulative character within the entirety of the show. So the fact that he actually went out the way that he did makes me question a lot of things. Calculated enough to pit the two strongest characters within the entirety of the Jujutsu Kaisen universe against each other by exploiting their genuine desire to fight strong opponents. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Clearly, truer words could not have been said. Kenjaku was intelligent enough to exploit the sentiments that the Riz God had towards his former best friend. Along with the hate conjured by the author, they were both able to formulate a plan to be able to permanently remove the Riz God from the story by capturing him in the prison realm, aka the Master Pokeball, only for them to release him back into the wild when it was time for him to meet his demise. Kenjaku, also being a man who left no stone unturned, dotted every I and crossed every T, only to be left wasted by Okotsu's blade. The same man who had basically become immortal, along with being able to capture Tengen, while also being able to manipulate probably the most sinister villain in all of anime history. Who? Kenjaku had basically killed Takaba, but I mean, it seems like they're basically both back with no explanation whatsoever. But I mean, when we dive back to that fight between Takaba and Kenjaku, did Takaba actually die? I mean, we saw Kenjaku die, but also in the same fashion that we also saw Higuruma die, who was confirmed dead by the King of Curses himself, but yet still walks among us like nothing happened. So as much as I would like to sit here to deny or to refute the claim that Kenjaku could actually still be alive, At this point in time, I've just come to the conclusion that anything is possible. We have no details, no explanation over the course of what happened after that fight. I understand that this is the epilogue and there's a possibility of a sequel, but that is yet to be confirmed, and it's all speculation until the author gives the word himself. So in my opinion,
we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Takaba's technique is busted. It allows his imagination to basically become reality. And we know for a fact that in order for Kenjaku to actually defeat Takaba, Takaba had to reach the peak of satisfaction during his comical skit. He was basically in the process where he was almost dead. I mean, he was on the floor looking like he was ready to pass on, but he wasn't actually dead. And within that moment, Kenjaku was defeated by Okotsu's blade and an ability that stands on par with musical chairs. Takaba never died. I guess that kind of explains that. But at the same time, this Kenjaku doppelganger or whoever he is, we still need an explanation for that. To be honest, I'm heavily speculating at this point, but until we actually see a face and see what's going on, I'm just gonna assume it's Kenjaku. With Takaba's technique, he can basically bring the dead back to life. So in his imagination, if he doesn't actually think you're dead, despite the fact that you're dead in reality, does that actually make you dead? And to be honest, I'm not even really sure what I even said at that point. But despite that, he does have a broken ability, and we still have no explanation for this Kenjaku lookalike. I'm still having a rough time really come to the conclusion that Kenjaku's actually dead, considering the amount of contingency plans that this man has constantly had in place. Like, you gonna sit there and tell me that that's it? Like, he's actually done. The same man who did everything and orchestrated every plan, manipulated every step, got his head cut off, and he was basically done within the entirety of the story. If that's what it is, I bet. But I'm finding it very tough of a pill to swallow at this point. So, yeah. We don't really get much explanation or details in this chapter except for side character plots being wrapped up within some capacity. So, if there's a sequel, okay, you know what? I'll be down to read it. But at the same time, we gonna need a couple answers, Gege. With one chapter left, oh boy. So Megami says goodbye to his sister Sumiki, who's basically been cremated. And I mean, I guess this is what could have happened with Geto's body. And I mean, Kenjaku wouldn't have been a thing, but well, what could have been, I guess. So Maki's in the process of talking to two awakened players. Despite what they've done and them being friendly, they can't really let them roam free. And Yuji and Hana do have the ability to be able to remove cursed objects from individuals, which will basically end their lives. Maki does tell them that the existence of curses has basically been stated as being Japan or Tokyo exclusive. So if there's any sort of safe space or area where they could kind of chill and defeat curses, it would probably be to stay within Tokyo. In addition, there also is the notion of the rescuing of the awakened players who were taken by the American military. So that is something that needs to kind of be dealt with. So I guess that would kind of buy them time within some capacity. So Higuruma avoids prosecution, and the higher-ups have actually forgiven him, despite the fact that he killed a lot of people. Now, as punishment, he has been told that he has to be a sorcerer, and he's basically just going to work the rest of his days out. There's no getting away from this, like, at all. But I guess in a way, this is his way to be able to repent for all the lives that he took. So I guess this is kind of one plot line that's actually been wrapped up. So yeah. So there have been parts of Tengen that's been found with the remnants of Sukuna, well, the parts of him that actually left Megami's body. And although that needs to be dealt with immediately, because I mean, it could be a problem. I mean, it could be a way for Sukuna to come back. Maybe. I mean, I'm definitely overstepping at this point. But Gakuganji pretty much tells everybody that, well, they shouldn't really rush to kind of deal with things, considering that they're still pretty young. So that kind of makes me sit here and question this kind of needs to be dealt with immediately, if you know what I'm talking about. So I guess this kind of wraps up this storyline for now, but at the same time, there is a big announcement next week, and yeah, so I'm still kind of a little half and half in regards to whether there's an actual sequel or not. The Culling games are still going on. We still need an explanation about the merger, and then there's still the barriers to be able to deal with. So unless there's an actual sequel where that'll actually be dived into at that point in time, I can kind of understand where he's going with in regards to this. If not, yeah, these chapters are cooked. Megami, Yuji, and Nobara basically have their final mission, and it's basically a potential cursed user or cursed spirit. Long story short, there's an issue of harassment. But from the lady who reported it, it turns out that she may very well be the one who's actually cursed. Megami does actually state that there is no malice, and it could be an awakened player. Considering the Culling games is actually still going on, Gege, you still need to address that. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, but Gege, what are these chapters? I'm not gonna lie to you. This is like, it feels like every form of development or story or plot. I mean, I see that there's been some storylines that have wrapped up. There's the manga artist, and then there's also the guy who approached the other guy who was being bullied or whatever. But it feels like even like the deaths and whatnot are just being undone, and there's just no explanation whatsoever. At this point in time, you may as well just bring Choso back saying, haha guys, I'm playing, you know, I never actually died, you know, that was actually a clone or whatever. But you may as well just bring Gojo back at this point. No one even batted an eye at this guy actually dying. But yeah, either way, what did you think of the chapter? Did you like the chapter? Did you not like it? I don't really know how to feel about it regardless. But yeah, where do you think the final chapter is actually going? Are we going for that sequel? Or is this the end of Jujutsu Kaisen? But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later, man. Peace.